All right, and we're back here with our quarterfinals here at Western New York Gaming. I'm Tom Davis alongside Ryan Dunn. We're still in our quarterfinals. We're just transitioning one of our matches over to the feature match area. That matchup is going to be Jeremy Izzio, who will be on our left on Affinity, versus Bob Martin, who is on Red Green Titan Shift.
And we've had both these players on camera already.
Yep. Jeremy running the more Master of Ethereum-centric Affinity list.
3 Masters, 2 Edge Champions as the 3 mana threats.
Yep, and then Bob Martin is on a similar deck to what we just saw in the quarterfinals, except he is opting to play Scape Shift over Emrakul.
Yep, 2 Scape Shifts in the main, and 0 Emrakuls in the main.
Yep.
And I don't think we've seen any Emrakul attack triggers today, right?
Nope.
Yep.
We haven't seen any Emrakuls today.
Yeah, it's my opinion that the Emrakul isn't necessary to the deck because through the breaching a Titan is almost certainly going to be lethal anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
And if it's not, usually you can just play a couple of lands and then it's going to be lethal shortly after that.
We saw Nick show us how even against a bunch of small creatures, just not worrying about Emrakul.
Ignore them too.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of decks where you can just Emrakul them and then still lose.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for both players to get wrapped up. They have already kept their opening hands. And then we brought them over, so they are both on 7 cards as far as I know, and they're ready to go, and we're ready to go.
Yep. All right.
So we're going to go and give them the go-ahead, and we should be on our way with our second quarterfinal.
They're waiting patiently for the go-ahead.
Yep. Actually, I might be wrong. It looks like that's 6 cards from Bob.
It's always tough to tell with the black sleeves.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes I'll have to look at my opponent's hand and try to figure out if they have the right number of cards. Well, yeah, it looks like 6 to me.
Yeah, it looks like 6 to me as well. See, now that I'm looking, it almost looks like 5.
Turns out it's going to be an 8-card hand.
An 8-card hand? That would be awkward.
Hopefully not, yeah.
It would suddenly be a 6-card hand.
True.
Well,
Unless it was supposed to be a 6-card hand.
Yeah.
Then I would.
Well, I mean, you know the new rule for hidden card error, right? You can actually use the hidden card error fix for these situations. Where they just take one of the cards instead of having to force them all.
Alright, so Affinity on the play game 3, starting with a Springleaf Drum and a pass.
Rather slow start for Affinity, all things considered.
A lot of people make that comment about the Springleaf Drum opener, but it does set up a lot of powerful turn twos.
Looks like he has Plating in hand alongside Vault Scourge.
This could be... Okay.
There's Vault Scourge.
Scourge paying Phyrexian mana down to 18.
And then I'm surprised he didn't play the Plating there.
Ooh. Or the Steel Overseer.
Yeah, because he had 2 mana available.
So he's trying to hold up Spell Pierce, which is the reason why he didn't cast these spells. I don't know if he has a Gal Blast or some other instant, but...
Yeah, he does have a red spell on the left side. I just don't know which one that is.
If he was worried about his Steel Overseer getting bolted, he could have also just played the Overseer and still held up Spellskite.
Sure.
Or sorry, Spell Pierce.
Looks like Bob is holding a copy of Anger of the Gods in his hand.
Yeah, Anger of the Gods is very good against the Steel Overseer draws.
It's good against a lot of creature decks. So it looks like his hand is 2 lands, Simian Spirit Guide, Through the Breach, Anger of the Gods.
So with the and a Summoner's Pact.
And Summoner's Pact.
So he does have the effective Titan, and he has a
decent amount of removal.
He doesn't have traditional mana acceleration, but he does. An Ancient Grudge too, yeah. But he does have the.
I think that might have been what I saw instead of Anger.
Monkey.
Blood Moon.
Ooh. So I might see a forest here.
So what does Bob have in his deck to deal with Blood Moon?
Well, let's take a look.
Looks like he has a Reclamation Sage in the sideboard.
Yeah, I'm sure the Reclamation Sage is in.
I think that's it.
So his other game plan against a Blood Moon is to kill all of Jeremy's creatures and then attack him with the Titan a bunch. Yeah, so we see the forest here, which is fortunate that he just has the green mana at all.
Yep.
And the nice thing about Summoner's Pact is it can tutor up those bullets. If he really needs to get rid of the Blood Moon, he can just find the Rec Sage.
And this does enable both instances of Ancient Grudge here. You can now flash it back from the graveyard.
So I don't know if I don't think Bob is threatened by this Vault Scourge, so I think he's just gonna.
And there's a Search for Tomorrow right off the top.
Ooh, the unfortunate Cinderglade coming in tapped.
Tap Mountain.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Blood Moon makes your lands mountains, but doesn't make them basic mountains. So Cinderglade still comes in tapped.
There's a Mox Opal from Jeremy.
Lots of mana. Question is
What to do with it. He does have the cranial plating in hand still, which I think we're going to see right now. Yep. There's the plating.
Yeah. This is pretty nice for Bob. He gets to just kill this plating and take one again.
Yep.
It wasn't threatened by the Vault Scourge before, which was correct.
He's going to up the number of artifacts that he has.
He's trying to
anyway.
Trying to animate his mountain, his non-basic mountain. Sorry. This is one of the reasons why I don't like Blood Moon. In fact, it shuts down a lot of your game plan. Like, Jeremy's board would look a lot better right now if he had 2 manlands.
Yep. Inkmoth Mountain does not attack.
And it's worth noting that Darksteel Citadel is still an artifact. Tom can articulate why if he wants to.
Sure. So if we want to get all judgy on this, Darksteel Citadel has the super type artifact. It's an artifact land.
Oh, he actually, sorry to interrupt, but he didn't go after the cranial plating.
He went after the Vault Scourge?
Yep.
Right.
So it's a little more greedy. The downside is that
he also can flash back the ancient.
Yeah,
Grudge.
but it makes Jeremy's like the next random like dork creatures Jeremy draws.
Sure.
Enable the plating.
Sure. But most of them don't have haste, and since he can't activate his manlands because of Blood Moon.
But now if he has to kill a cranial plating anyway,
sure.
Then a Steel Overseer comes down and can also present problems.
That's fair. But to get back to discussion on Darksteel Citadel, it is just an artifact land. So that is a super type. Blood Moon affects the subtype of basic lands. It turns them into subtype of mountain. So Darksteel Citadel right now is an artifact land with subtype mountain that taps for 1 red and is indestructible.
Yep. I've experienced a lot of confusion with Blood Moon and Darksteel Citadel and whatnot.
It's all a matter of layers.
And then it gets real fun when people start courting in Magus of the Moons against animated manlands.
Yep.
Yeah, so now Bob's presented with a choice of which threat he wants to kill here. So the Overseer...
How many cards are in Jeremy's hand? 2?
Yes, so the Overseer can be pretty problematic eventually. It's not so bad now, but it can wear the plating as well. So if
I think
Bob,
I hit the plating here still.
Well, if Bob kills the Overseer, then the plating continues to do nothing, but even like a random Thopter can just pick up the plating.
No, he does have a blue source here. Is that a spell
That's
pierce
true,
in
he
hand?
does have a blue source. He does have the spell pierce still that he's been holding up for a while.
There's the Vault Scourge electing not to pay life.
So we'll see.
He can still represent spell pierce here by tapping the Overseer.
We'll see if Bob plays around it by just untapping first.
I think he should.
Oh, he's going for it. It's tough to read.
And he couldn't do that fast enough. Immediately taps down the Vault Scourge to spell pierce away the grudge.
But I think this is very good for...
Farseek Spirit Guide. Does he have a land in there? Because he could cheat out a primetime pretty quick.
He has a Simian Spirit Guide.
Okay.
So the problem with cheating a Prime into play is you get a bunch of mana, but you have to spend 4 of it next turn just to pay for the Pact.
Okay.
And then you don't have access to a Rec Stage to unlock the Valakuts.
Sure.
While hard casting the Valakut, hard casting the Primetime at least like leaves you with a decent threat.
Okay.
But yeah, because Bob went after that first Vault Scourge, this cranial plating's still around, then it's gonna chunk in for a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Does he have... I can't quite see Bob's hand. I think he might have 2 Summer's Packs and 2 Through the Breaches, which presents some really difficult
he has Farseek
decisions.
Summoner's Pack 2 through.
Well, it has 5 cards, plus the Mana Monkey, right?
2 packs, yep.
Yeah.
2 packs Farseek,
Ooh.
Mana Monkey.
That's a tricky sequence, because on one hand he wants to unlock the Blood Moon, but that represents 7 mana just to pact and cast a...
Yeah, and we can see Bob, he's just in the tank right now trying to figure out what the best line is.
So he could also, through the Breach, the Titan just to get 4 lands into play, and then I'll have enough mana to pay for pact, and then next turn pact again and play a Rec Sage.
Sure.
Which might be...
I don't even think that's really necessary.
Well, I mean,
With him already on double green?
This Vault Scourge and Cranial Plating is going to represent a serious issue.
Yeah, it is.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 artifacts, plus the Steel Overseer and the Vault Scourge. That's going to be 8 damage and then 9 damage, just if Jeremy doesn't play anything.
Yeah.
So realistically, Bob might be looking at lethal in 2 turns.
Yeah, Bob also doesn't have any Valakits in
So,
play.
Rob,
Nor can they be played.
The line I was articulating is Bob can, through the Breach of Titan, and just get 8 lands, including Valakits, and then after he has that in play, even though he can get the triggers, he can pact for Reclamation Sage to get rid of the Blood Moon and then continue as normal.
Yep. So
Though,
Jeremy...
Now it might be too late because this Master of Ethereum's representing it a really big problem.
Yep. So Jeremy plays out a Master of Ethereum and then activates Steel Overseer.
Because I said before that realistically Bob's looking at a 2-turn clock, and this is one of the many draws that make it a 2-turn clock. So I think this is going to be 10 damage this turn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep. I agree.
So the Master effectively, I said 8 before, then he drew the Master, which gives it +2, +1. 1 from the plating, 1 from the Master. Yeah, so Bob is now forced to act, and I think it might be too late.
Yep.
That
I think taking...
What was he planning on? Maybe he's trying to, like, through the breach a Hornet Queen or something? Does he have one of those?
He has one.
Because he just passed without even having
no,
a Farseek.
That was the other matchup. He doesn't,
yeah, right. I wasn't sure if he had one.
He doesn't have a Hornet Queen.
But he's obviously planning something, or otherwise he would have just cast
through the breach Rex Sage if it's in his hand.
Well, he can pack for Rex Sage.
Sure.
But he's going to be too constrained on mana now. Maybe that was his plan.
I wish he's just going to elect to take the damage here.
I wish you could pact for...
Looks like Jeremy's going to go up to 28.
Ooh, Gaia's Revenge. That's a spicy one on the board.
Bob's going to go down to 10.
Yeah, so Bob... Oh, wait. Bob took... 10,
Bob's going to go to 8.
Yeah.
Jeremy's going to go to 28. Bob's going to Summoner's Pact at the end step.
Well, he's going to through the breach here.
Going to get Primeval Titan.
So the through the breach now on the end step is going to allow Bob to attack with the prime time, but he's not going to have access to the mana because the card's coming to play tapped. So I think it would have been better just to do this last turn.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless I'm... Oh, alright, can he... If he has a land, he can pact for Rex Sage, right?
Correct.
And play Rex Sage, attack with prime time.
Yeah.
I don't think that doesn't string together lethal, though, because the Master is going to get in the way and absorb like the trample
He
damage.
also won't have 6 mountains.
Yeah, because of the 2 basics.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, with the land drop, there's no way he can get up to 6 basics. Or 6 mountains. Well, he has the Explorer, but he won't have enough... No, sorry, the Farseek, but then he doesn't have enough...
He'd still have 5.
For Rex Sage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Bob's in a tough spot here.
It looks like Bob might be getting punished for not acting earlier. Because if he did this all during his turn, he would have 2 more lands in play.
Yep.
Which, unlock more plays.
Well, you have to remember he has to pay for Summoner's Pact.
Yes, right, exactly. So if he did this on his turn, he would be untapping
All
with effectively access to 4 mana instead
Yep.
of just 2. And mana is exactly what he's constrained on here. I'm not sure what he's thinking about, though. I don't think there's anything else he can do.
He could Summoner's Pact again and through the breach.
And then die because he can't pay both.
Yeah.
Yeah, pacting a second time isn't an option here. He might be just deciding what he wants to tap.
What's the cost to pay for Summoner's Pact?
Green too, I believe. Or lose the game. You can pay either cost.
Gotcha. So he's in his upkeep right now. You're gonna hope he remembers to pay for Summoner's Pact.
Yeah, he might just be choosing whether or not he wants to pay for Summoner's Pact or to lose the game. Yeah, I don't know if there's like some tricksy thing he can do in his upkeep other than just tapping these 4 lands.
All right, so he's paid for Summoner's Pact. He's now on 2 mana.
He could like, no, he doesn't have a land in hand, so he can't even rip the Rex Sage.
Correct. Well, I'm in a very tough spot here. Staring down a ton of damage with Vault Scourge. I still think hitting the cranial plating was the correct decision.
He's trying
earlier.
to figure out if there's an out, but
The out is not the second through the
he
breach.
drew another through the breach. Ay. Looks like Jeremy's gonna get this one and move on to the semifinals.
Looks like
we
it.
might have an Affinity Mirror match.
You already had
Fun,
one in the
fun, fun.
quarterfinals.
Yeah, we might have another one. We might have one on camera.
Yep.
Jeremy's probably like thinking about he wants to get
And
some
that's it.
food or-
All right, Jeremy Izzio on Affinity is going to move on to the semifinals, defeating Bob Martin 2-1 with Titan Shift.
Bob had a lot of tough decisions in that game.
Yep, so that is our last final match. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be back with our semifinals. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
See you soon.